Hello everyone, it's Fluffy, and I'm going to show a game where, not this one, where I took, no, still not this one. Where is it? It's here. This one, okay. Where I took a few lessons from my battles against Poland on this map, Dubious Procession. Now for context, last time I faced Poland on this map, he went hard on this corner right here. And I was thinking, hey, I'm getting such amazing engagements where I'm up in the KD, my tanks aren't being killed, I'm just moving them back to repair. But then the airports came online, and as soon as the battlecopters came, my forces here were quickly defeated and I had no choice but to retreat. And it made me realize that Poland was at the level where he's willing to take suboptimal engagements, but in the long run, because I'm entrenched fighting here, I'm fighting closer to his reinforcements, specifically the airport. The airport will take 2 turns to reach the front lines here, whereas because of the pipe seam, my airport would take 3 turns to reach the same area. And so I decided to take some lessons from that and do the same on this map. This is live leak, so we are playing on 5 minutes plus 2-minute increments per turn. And we went into an Andy mirror. I like Andy. Andy can heal stuff. So I pick Andy. So first things first, I go for this property. It's the turn 1 captures are turn 1 captures. I'm going to take them. And for some reason, I thought that this was a capture chain. I didn't quite read the map completely. This is live, it happens. Live mistakes. And so I could still send it here, which I think is... is it good? Not quite sure. I think I would prefer to... I think I should just send it here anyway. I think it's better if I capture this property. Instead, this is the move where from now on I wouldn't do. I probably would send it to this capture chain instead. It does mean I am delaying this property for 1 turn, but it means I'm getting ahead on these properties for 1 turn, and it's for 2 properties. So I would be getting an extra 1k funds I will be down 1k funds right away, but in the long run I will get my 1k funds back and another 1k fund from this city. So it probably would be better, since I prefer playing the long game than the immediate get funds now. As long as it means I get more funds overall, that is. I also immediately start capturing this city with my 2nd infantry, because you definitely want to capture this before vehicles start coming to stop you. Additionally, I already sent my 1st infantry to the back. There's no reason to send in my 2nd infantry to the back as well. Space them out so they don't block friendly captures. You don't want your infantry in the way of your own infantry when deciding to capture things. And I built an artillery because I like artillery. But perhaps it's not exactly the best, since I realized I can't exactly cover the city completely. Ultimately, I went with a compromise where I blocked this tile, so the only tile the tank can interrupt is in range of my artillery. It's fine, I'm Andy. I'll just heal it back up. I get some hits in. But I'm not too sad about it since I get my property and I get my artillery out. It's very difficult to find out when to send out artillery. If you send it too early, tanks and recons will harass you. If you send it too late, well, you're probably not going to have it in the front lines in time. But now that the immediate danger has passed, I'm glad I got my artillery out. I like artillery. And I do the same thing on this side as well. I bring out my artillery because I like artillery. I also decide to heal this infantry up to 5, and only 5. He can't exactly attack this infantry because my tank is in the way. Yes, he is Andy, but I will be getting my comm tower, so I'm guaranteed to do at least 6 damage, which means he will have to pay some repairs if he wants it to be full. And I might even do 7. It might go to a 3. Would it? Would it go to 7? Well, would I do 7? 55 base damage plus 10%. No, I don't think it will do 7. It'll probably a 4-9 engagement since he doesn't have comm tower. Which I guess isn't exactly good. But well, he didn't go for it, so I'm not going to wonder what would happen if he did go for it. Anyway, I shall exploit Andy's day-to-day, and just, who cares if he first strikes me here? If he first strikes me, I get to kill the tank. If he strikes my artillery, I still get to kill the tank. That's just how it is. And I could just heal up my units later. Unfortunately, I'm unable to get this infantry to safety, but it actually is very safe. Despite the fact that nothing's covering it, look at where the fighting is. I mentioned at the beginning that when Poland played as the bottom player against me, he kept fighting on this corner right here, stopping me from taking the city, and even pushing me in over here, just because he's closer to his airport than I am with my airport, and that got him to win. So while it looks like I'm losing an infantry here, I'm not too sad about it, since if I do lose this infantry, it means I know the fighting will happen up here, close to my airport. In some way, it's kind of, I kind of want to keep it that way. It's worth, sometimes it's worth losing an infantry to put your opponent out of position. And I think I've had another video like that, but I don't remember where, like what the context is. Either way, he went in. Both of these tanks are chipped. This one is chipped with a 3 HP infantry, and this one is chipped with by a 2 HP infantry. And which will come into play later. Once again, I'm abusing Andy's day-to-day. If you want to kill this artillery, you have to send both your tanks. You can't kill either of my tanks. And killing my artillery means you would just lose both of these tanks since I can trap the tank. So this artillery is completely safe. Now that I have both my artillery on the front lines, which I'm happy about, I shall completely dominate this area. Now this tank has been chipped by a 2 HP infantry. It's sitting on my HQ, not covered by this artillery, which can only mean one thing. It means I kill this tank, or at least I try to. But for those of you who've seen my Sonya games against Go7, you know I never fail a luck roll. So I kept this. And I moved both my artillery in to cover this, so there's no possibility of counterattacks. I like artillery, like I said. Once they are online, they get online. This area is also a bit choky with the ocean tiles. Like, there's no way, it's very difficult to walk across this area if you have artillery covering these points. And also notice how I'm shifting this tank from my left base to the, oops, notice how I'm shifting it to the right as I continue pressuring this area. Well, I'm not pressuring anything yet, but as the fight is over here, I keep moving all my units on the right side. The reason is, I want the fight to stay here, and if I make a threat over here, the fight will stay here with my airport. He shifts over to protect his infantry capturing these properties. I learned my lesson against Poland for trying to contest this property while the airport is online, so I decide to go for this property. Pretty much the same thing, except I have the airport, the 2-turn reinforcement airport. So I go for it. I'm Andy, I don't care. If I take damage here, I'll just heal it back up, I tell myself. Once again, shifting my vehicles all the way to the right. I built an artillery on this side just to cover the cities. So there's no reason, or at least he wouldn't want to fight on this side, because it would be so costly dealing with the artillery. So he breaks through, attacks my artillery, and I realized I might have made a mistake here. But I am keeping the fight on this side, so if anything, from what I learned from Poland, even if I take tactically negative engagements, over the long run, because of my strategic location of my airports and my base reinforcements, I would eventually win in this area. At least that's what I'm thinking. Additionally, my luck doesn't fail me. Go! Go! Kill this tank! If it didn't kill the tank, I would kill it with an infantry, but the fact that I didn't need an infantry meant that I could just fire upon the artillery, which is really nice. And I start capturing it again, because why not? I put my infantry on a line here, so the only way for the anti-air to reach my copter is to spend 2 units attacking this infantry. I fire upon his tank and cover it with my artillery. Once again, abusing Andy's day-to-day, I get as close as possible to reinforce the front lines, while not caring if I get first struck from a city by their tank, because I'm Andy. I put my artillery in position to cover these 2 cities. This way I know the fight will not happen here, or at the very least, well yeah, I just know it won't happen. There's not enough vehicles anyway. And I float some money. Normally it's not good to float money, but I saw a medium tank, and I wanted a bomber. And it's also, while floating money means my vehicles come out a turn later, we also must keep in mind that my airport is 1 turn closer to the front line than his airport. So even if I build 1 turn later from this airport, effectively I'm still reaching the front lines at the same time, and I will have a teched up unit where that he only has 1 anti-air, which is probably going to die fighting my copter. So, I mean, the anti-air will die because the 3 infantry here means that my tank can always wrap around, and there's nothing he could do to block from my attack from this direction. So that's why I wanted the bomber. I lose my infantry, as expected. The anti-air attacks from this tile, as expected. He's not interrupting this city because I'm going to get my super anyway, which means I would just heal it back up and the city is mine regardless. He kills my tank over here, I'm fine with that. And so, I mean, look at how many turns these copters have to reach. Now this part actually did confuse me for a moment. I don't know why a hyper repair is used. but it's right before my superpower, which means I want to do as much damage as possible because he's not getting any charge from this. And I have plenty of weak units, including the 3 HP, now 5 HP infantry from the beginning of the game, which survived back to full health. So I move my infantry out of the way, attack the anti-air. Admittedly, the power defense was a little annoying. I wanted to use the 5 HP tank, but I don't quite remember, but I don't think it was guaranteed, and I wanted to get the kill. So instead I used the 7 HP tank. I probably should have used the 5 HP tank anyway, but live moments, I don't got time to think about these things. You'll know why I want to move the 5 HP tank a bit later. I move my 2 HP artillery over here, ready to cover this area. And I now make sure I get the super. So I heal up all my injured units. And the reason why I wanted to move my 5 HP tank out of the way sooner was so that after my anti-air kills the copter, my 7 HP tank, which should have still been here if I used the 5 HP to kill the anti-air, would then be able to move down and attack the artillery, which I'm unable to kill this time. That being said, it's not that bad since his power is already active, which means he's not getting charged, and this artillery will probably not heal anytime soon. So I'm just doing damage now because I can, and I know that he can't heal it back up right away anyway. And I get my bomber. I also start pushing a little bit of a threat over here. Maybe I can divide his forces just a tiny bit. I mean, a bunch of infantry and 1 artillery is pretty annoying to deal with because value-wise they are very cheap, but the artillery makes it so annoying to fight against. Hey, I survived! The defense from my power makes me, keeps my tank alive. And he doesn't kill my anti-air and doesn't kill my copter. Also does not send the infantry to attack my tank, which I would have taken it. I mean, it is Andy, so you want to kill units, especially if it's something like this. But I guess he really didn't want to lose the city. He could recapture it since it's so close to the base. But I suppose that's why it's annoying to have a lot of extra infantry just lying around. You definitely want a lot of infantry. So I pull all my damaged units back. So these will come back much stronger. I also begin picking off units I can pick off. Well, I retreat for the most part because of the medium tank. I'm waiting for my bomber to arrive. I try to kill off his infantry, so that's one less I have to deal with. Wasn't able to get it, but it's fine. And I start building lots of anti-air because I'm expecting a fighter response. Anti-air can't kill my bomber, so naturally a fighter would come out to try to one-shot it. My infantry here dies, but that's fine. And here, he begins shifting a bit more to the left. I can have that. The closer he gets to his airport, the weaker my advantage becomes. I will not allow this. I shall do I should just attack really hard on the right side, because I want the fight to stay here with my airport, my reinforcement range. So in a way, even though I'm leaving my left side relatively bare, lots of infantry in a very choky area with artillery is something most people generally do not want to attack, especially since I already have the anti-air to deal with the copters. So I decide to go all in on the right. I want to pull his army back to respond to me. Ideally, he should just sit still and try to hold the properties he does have because he still has the income advantage. But I will make a lot of threats over here to force an engagement closer to my airport side. Admittedly, fighting over here is almost going 3 turns from my reinforced range. Well, from my airport, I mean. But I'm fine with it, because there's always the threat of artillery locking the base, which is something he definitely doesn't want. Normally you don't want to split your army, but I'm perfectly fine with it because he can't use all of his army either if I'm attacking only one side of it. So I move in closer. I could use the 7 HP artillery to lock it right now, but there's so many copters and vehicles here that can reach the artillery, and I honestly don't feel like defending this tile from the shoal. And if I move on to the city, well, the medium tank can't reach, but a lot of other vehicles and copters can. I send my bomber down. Some of you might not think it's worth it, but let's look at the charge. He only used the normal power while I used the super, so he's way ahead in the second charge. So I might as well get some charge out of this, block his base for 1 turn, and just all around be annoying. I also put a tiny bit of a push here, just to maybe pull some forces back, maybe get him to split up as well. Ultimately, I just want to get my superpower again so I can heal all of these injured units. And besides, he already has a fighter. A fighter will one-shot my bomber no matter what happens. What's the difference? So why not just have a 7 HP bomber instead? Or rather, why not just get the charge now so I can abuse the charge? Whereas I'm going to lose my bomber to his fighter anyway. At the same time, I'm also getting like 5 anti-air just to, because I want to. I believe in air superiority winning a lot. And he did a good job keeping his army together for the most part, but here is where he's splitting. He's reacting to me, to my relatively non-existent threat. I mean, can I really capture this at either of these properties? The artillery can just lock it down. There's really no need to send this much against me. But he's also sending units down here, expecting me to attack, because I have everything on the right side, as well as a bomber that's already running in. And so I see this is an opportunity, because he's splitting up his army. Yes, my army is split, but I can easily collapse them together. I'm sure you heard Daegis use the term like a rubber band, where if they attack one point, your units just collapse inwards and counterattack. Well, here, it's not necessarily I'm counterattacking, it's more like I'm just attacking. So I pull back over here because there's no reasons for me to attack. It did its job pulling forces. And instead, I begin my attack in the center. Once again, I don't fail these luck rolls, I get it. Kill the tank. That's the 3rd important luck roll I got this game. So I've been getting pretty lucky. But let's not talk about my luck, and let's instead talk about my manipulation of keeping the fight exactly where I want it. That makes me sound like I actually have skill. And I prefer that. So I begin shifting my units all together in the center to fight this army over here, whereas a lot of his vehicles are still down here. Now he could sack his copters onto my anti-air, get his superpower, then his superpower allow his anti-air to run all the way to my bomber, kill it, allow his medium tank to kill my artillery, allow his tank to kill my backer artillery, and it's not sure if that's actually that strong. It could be, since I can't exactly kill him back. And he gets rid of my bomber without losing the fighter. But that didn't happen, so I don't have to worry about it. I'll let you guys think about the what if scenario. Instead, he kills my anti-air, kills one of my tanks, damages one of my tanks. Probably shouldn't have done that since I'm mainly. And once again centralizes his army now that my attack is clearly over here. So I begin my counterattack, counterattack, kill 2 copters, take a negative trait to build charge, and now you see why I sack the bomber, well, sack much of the bomber, not the entire bomber, because now I have enough charge to pop my superpower. So despite using the superpower compared to his normal power, I still got a hit in the charge. I bombed the medium tank, didn't quite kill it, but it's fine because it's not going to go to full HP anytime soon. The attack over here was probably a mistake, but it's live. I don't need to justify why I do these things. I just did it because I wanted to add more pressure. He uses the hyper repair of his own after doing some engagements so he could heal it back up. The extra damage guarantees the kill on my infantry despite my defense from the power. Reaches my artillery, I'm fine with that, I can heal it up later. Kills much of my infantry. Kills my bomber, I'm fine with that, I was expecting the bomber to take a hit. The bomber did its job, I believe, of manipulating the unit positions of my opponents. I lose my copter after he breaks through, but I'm fine with that because the anti-air has moved in range of my medium tank. And now I begin my relentless attack. I get rid of the fighter. I kill this infantry and the anti-air. With the infantry dead, I send my tank to maybe kill the medium tank. Didn't quite get it, but it's fine. I pull my artillery back so I can heal it up later. And I really make it difficult to defend this city. I've been fighting down income all game. I've now tied in income and I'm now threatening to be ahead on income. The artillery was the only thing that could stop the infantry, but that would block his medium tank from attacking my tank. I think it's probably better to just just fire upon and stop my capture. It would either force me to give up the capture or use my normal power, which I don't want to do. And now it's just cleanup, because all of these units down here would pretty much be doing nothing while I focus all my efforts here. It looked like my army was split up, but that's not the case if I'm collapsing in on them. It's more as if my army is put that way so that I can get more angles of attack. It's not so much that I'm separated, it's more so that I am attacking from multiple directions. And now it is his army that is actually split because he has some units here which won't be in the battle anytime soon, and my 2 HP tank is blocking the bridge to attack from this direction. Now, he's trying to join his units together, which is a good thing, and it also moves him further away from my units up here. But, too late. The Neo tank is not going to be here anytime soon. I take some negative trades to get my next superpower. All of my injured units now healing right back up. And I threaten another property. I'm ahead in income and I'm still threatening more properties. And I also try to kill this infantry. It was a 9 HP, so it's not going to kill. But I also don't want it to recapture these properties anytime soon. I also leave one infantry here just to be very annoying and slow down the recapture process for even longer. The Neo tank couldn't really get very far from the base because of that infantry, which it's not in the battle yet, which means I can stay fighting over here. I probably could have killed the medium tank, but I used the closer medium tank to kill the anti-air instead of my back. So the rest of this is just cleanup. Artillery plus my closer medium tank probably could have killed it. Because I couldn't kill it, I instead decided to use the artillery and tank to kill off this artillery. So, just cleaning up here at this point. My recording system just suddenly cut off, but I'm back. As I was saying, I was just cleaning up. I decided to take this hit. Even though he's Andy, I would still get 1 damage on. Plus, the anti-air isn't here yet, so I might as well take the shot. It also annoyingly blocks the Neo tank from reaching the front lines, just like the last 2 turns. I also threaten the comm tower. This infantry can stop it, but for how long? And I also threaten to artillery lock this base again, while also making it very annoying to capture these properties. So from this, that's the game. So, definitely took a lesson I took from Poland about taking engagements within reinforcement range. These cities look contested, but after a while it's clear it's closer to one reinforcement range than the other. Even breaking the pipe would still put this as at 3 turns from the airport reinforcement. Yes, 3 turns. So these cities are not as contested as they appear. These 2, however, are, and he could have tried to hold them, but that didn't happen. Anyway, tomorrow I will have a game against Poland on Caustic Finale. So, I'll see you there. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.